Practicing scales is a waste of time, but not for the reasons that you might think. It's not that practicing scales is useless. The point is, there are many more useful things that you can musically do that will produce more value for you in the same amount of time. And if your time for guitar practice is limited, which probably it is, and you want to get the best results possible, then your best bet is to use this time for the most beneficial activities. And I would argue that practicing scales is not one of them. Here is why. For a very long time, much longer than I would like to admit, my main focus during practice time was scales. My teachers always emphasized that practicing scales is very important if I want to become any good. At the time I was too young and inexperienced to form my own opinion, so I believed them. And I also believe that the more I practice scales, the better I will become as a guitar player. So I practiced them. Up and down, in thirds, fourths, fifths, or any other interval, I practiced them in sequences, slow and fast, up the neck and then back again. I could spend all available time practicing only scales. On one hand, it felt really good because I was getting better at playing scales, and I believe that playing scale was the key to becoming good at guitar, right? But on the other hand, I started to become a little bit suspicious because every time I played with someone, I was not able to play anything that would sound like a real music. Everything I played sounded unsurprisingly like a scale. It took me quite a long time to realize that practicing scales is really not the most important musical activity, and practicing them definitely won't make me the guitar player I wanted to be. There was a disconnect between what I was practicing and what I really wanted to improve. Scales were presented to me as this universal solution to all my musical problems. Just practice scales and everything else will take care of itself, but this is so not true. I believe that the first rule of practicing should be this: practice what you want to get better at. Here are a few examples to illustrate my point. Practice scales and you will become better at playing scales. Practice guitar solo and you will get better at that solo. Practice identifying intervals using an app and you will become better at identifying intervals in that app, not necessarily in real music. Practice sloppy and you will end up playing sloppy. No amount of sloppy will get you too polished and precise. Practice creating music and you will become better at composing. I believe you get the idea. Of course, there is a little bit of transfer between different musical activities, but not as much as we would hope for. Therefore, it is very important to practice the thing you want to get better at. I think the best way how to think about scales is to see them as an alphabet. If alphabet is a series of letters, then scale is a series of notes. You can create meaningful words from letters, and you can create musically meaningful phrases from notes. If we take it one step further, you can create sentences from words, and you can create longer melodies or solos from phrases. And if I may guess, you probably didn't spend much time writing the alphabet from A to Z and back. Generally, it is understood that this practice will not help much with writing words. Rather, you practice writing words. That means connecting different letters to create a meaningful unit, a word. And the same is true for scales. You don't want to spend too much time playing them up and down or in any other different configurations. Past certain level, it doesn't make any sense to continue practicing scale in this way. The problem with practicing scales in different intervals or sequences is that most of them are unrealistic configurations that don't occur in real music. If they do, it is pretty rare. Equivalent of this would be learning to write words that don't exist and then create meaningless sentences from these words. What would this be good for? And don't even get me started on practicing scales up and down as fast as possible. What I suggest is this: learn and understand scales and how they work, but practice music. If you have time for it, for example during commuting, it is perfectly fine to study all you can about scales and how they sound and where can you use them. But don't practice them up and down for hours without any musical context. That's useless. In short, learn scales but practice music. Here's an example. Let's say I have learned that I can use A mixolydian scale in blues shuffle over the A7 chord. Let's pretend I don't know how that scale looks like, okay? So I'll find online what is the fingering in the first position, and I will learn that it goes something like this. So now I know the fingering, and I know that it will work over A7 chord. What should I do next? Should I practice this scale up and down and in different sequences and then find all the other fingerings all over the fretboard? Or would it be better to take this scale and try to use it musically? For example, learning how I can musically switch between A minor pentatonic and A mixolydian. Or loop A7 chord and make that scale fit that chord. I would definitely say that you would be much better off going with the second option. It will make you a much better guitar player, and next time you will jam with somebody over A blues, you will know what to do. Of course, knowing the scale all over the fretboard is valuable, but not very much if you don't know how to use it to create music. Maybe this all seems very obvious to you, and if so, I'm glad for you, because it means that you don't waste your time practicing something that doesn't produce results. But over the years I have seen so many guitar players who practice scales and didn't even know over which chord that scale would actually work, and that is a waste of time to me. So instead of wasting your time, try to use it for activities that will help you to become the player you want to be. Before you cover all the fretboard with different fingerings of the scale, just take the first one you have learned and try to come up with ways how to make music out of it. This way everything you learn will always be connected with real music, and I believe that is the best way how to improve not only your technique but also your musicianship. Alright, that is it for this video. I hope it will help you on your guitar journey, and if so, please support me on Patreon so I can create more lessons like this. Thanks for watching, take care and keep rocking.